Good evening. I wanted to touch on the Biggie discovery that came out yesterday in the New York Post article, but the video that I did it on my iPad and I can't download it for whatever reason because my laptop is not a MacBook. So I might have to get myself a MacBook so I can make some better videos for y'all. Because I'm not interested in getting dressed to sit in front of the camera and talk to y'all. If I'm dressed and I feel like being in front of the camera, I'll do so. But otherwise, sometimes I just want y'all to listen to me. And half the time I'm laying in my bed with my thoughts, with my t-shirt on and my scarf around my head. So everything is so sensitive on YouTube. Like you got to get glamorous and shit to be on there if you're a female. You can't just come on there just looking any old type of way. So when I want to talk, I just drop a video. But apparently, those sealed documents that were not allowed in court, that were found in the drawer, I believe, some files that were found regarding the Biggie murder case, have been unsealed, and they have evidence that Suge Knight orchestrated the hit on Notorious B.I.G. in 1997, March 9th, and Amir Muhammad was indeed the shooter. There was rumors going around for years. It was Poochie of the Bloods, the Pyru Bloods. It was, you know, or Amir Muhammad. Those two names kept popping up. So now it's been proven, I guess, that Suge Knight was responsible. I don't know how far this is going to go. I don't know if this is just hearsay, but this is coming from an ex-FBI officer, Phil Carson, and he was saying that this evidence has been suppressed and held back from the proper authorities to take proper proceed to make proper steps to apprehend the murderer of the Notorious B.I.G. Now, I'm going to look at this closely now because I'm going to follow this case. I'm going to follow what has been revealed to see if it goes anywhere. And if so, uh, Valletta Wallace and Faith Evans may wind up getting a huge payout for this because Faith was married to him at the time, and Valletta Wallace is his mother. And there's potential millions of dollars that was lost with the loss of Notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace's death. I always felt like, the evidence pointed towards that long time ago, but I knew that evidence was being suppressed because of the Rampart scandal, where they found out that some police officers in LA at that time were involved with gang membership and they were doing underhanded things as if they were above the law. So they're actually stating that David Mack, who was arrested, who was a police officer and was found guilty rather, of robbing a bank for $722,000, which was supposed to go to the murderer of Notorious B.I.G. Upon finding that out, I think David Mack's been released now. Um, I think he was released in 2010 for the bank robbery, but he was never charged with being accessory to that crime, even though they found the Impala in his garage that was similar to the Impala that was used in the hit on Biggie. And there was a whole lot of other evidence pointing towards the LAPD, the Rampart, those two Rampart officers being involved in setting Notorious B.I.G. up, which makes perfect sense because they were already doing things to people on the streets, gang members, setting them up, agitating beef between them, dropping off dudes in the wrong hood, all types of stuff they were doing. So vicious stuff. It was vicious out there at that time in LA, and the police weren't, you know, making it any less dangerous than it would have been without their partaking in those nefarious activities. So finally, it looks like traction is being gained on this Notorious B.I.G. case, and the case may actually be solved. Probably, I'm hoping that if that case is solved, maybe they might find out the truth about Tupac as well, because I always thought their two murders were tied together, just like I think in my heart that Duck and Vaughn may have been tied together too. But hey, it can always be camouflaged as street shit because that's the narrative that was given, and that's the narrative that was constantly programmed into us, that this beef was escalating and escalating. But we don't understand that sometimes there's some people in the background writing scripts on people's lives so they can make some money. I know that may sound far out, but it does happen. Not in every case, but in some cases it does. Um, we shall see what's gonna happen, guys. I would really like to see what really went down. I have my theories, but it's not written in stone. I wasn't there. I haven't done any investigations where I get to speak to anybody or seeing any evidence. So it's just basically me going on my gut feeling. And my gut feeling is telling me that, yeah, Suge had something to do with it because he was jealous of Puffy. I don't know if they were pitted against each other or not, because I always felt like Tupac and Big was pitted against each other because they would have monopolized the game if them two was together. So it just seems like after they got killed, everything just declined. Like it was like the Twin Towers falling down on hip hop. That's what AOA said. It was like the Towers falling down on hip hop. And I always felt like Eazy-E was Building 7. And they never talk about Building 7. They never talk about Eazy-E. But there was a sequence. It was Eazy-E in 95, Big in 96, Tupac in 96, and Biggie in 97. So for 3 years straight, we lost major hip hop figures at that time. And it was pretty traumatizing. So I can imagine how the youth are traumatized now with twice as much murders happening than it was back then, because back then rappers weren't getting murdered like that until, the only rapper that was murdered was at that time was Scott LaRock from Boogie Down Productions. That was with KRS-One. And after that, it took at least 10, 11 years for another rapper to pass away. Now it's like a month or two, sometimes 2 and 3 weeks. These rappers are just dropping like that. And it's pretty scary and it's pretty traumatic, to watch. If you watch something progress from its beginning stages until where it is now, it's just total disappointment and total frustration, because there's not really much that anyone can do, because most of the youth co-sign that, like they take that gang stuff really serious, not understanding that most of the black gangs that were established to protect the neighborhood, not terrorize the neighborhood. But anyway, I just hope to see better days. I just hope to see more good things happen. And I hope that the youth steer themselves away from all this negativity, because they don't really understand that negativity just breeds nothing but wickedness. There's nothing good that comes out of it. Ever. It always just escalates into something that you can't turn back from. So, and you wind up destroying yourself. But anyway, everybody have a good night. I'm done talking, but I will be following up on this Notorious B.I.G. case. Peace and love.